welcome back. In this video, we're looking at the MLB slate for Sunday. We have 10 games, probably going to be 8 games with 2 games. Looking like they're going to get postponed today. So looking at about an 8-game slate for baseball starting at 1 o'clock. These Sunday slates are fun just because they start earlier. Today's slate is looking alright. I mean, there's not a lot of good pitching options today. Looking at the lineups here, you have Pivetta, Jorge Lopez squaring off in the first game. Pivetta has some upside, as he showed with the Phillies, with some strikeout stuff. You could look to him against this some strikeout heavy hitters in this Baltimore lineup. Jorge Lopez, I don't want to play him against the Red Sox. You could go to Trevor Williams today just because there's not a lot of pitching options. I don't really want to get to the Pirates pitcher. And then these 2 games look like they're going to get rained out, so we can't really target anybody in those 2 spots. And then you could look to Montgomery just because he's the most expensive pitcher. If you wanted to get some of those builds in there where you get your cheap stacks, you're going to have to go up a pitcher. Montgomery is one guy to look at, maybe Logan Allen. But I think you can go in the 6 or 7K range for guys that, like Matt Shoemaker is looking like a guy a lot of people will go to today. He's only $6,900 going up against the Seattle lineup, which is not very scary. There's strikeouts in here. He's a favorite to get the win. Have a 5-run total for the Twins here, so that's always a plus whenever you're getting your pitcher. And I don't want to go to Cease, even though the Royals have a low total. I don't really trust Cease right now. His xFIP is super high. He walks some and he gives up power, so I think there's some other ways to go. I'd probably go down to like Ponce de Leon for the Cardinals against his Brewers team, barely over a 4-run total. He gives you a lot of strikeout upside as well, so he's a candidate to look at. And then that's kind of it for my pitchers. So, before we get into the picks, as always, forgot to mention this, make sure you hit the like button. It really helps this channel out. I appreciate that. Subscribe if you have not already, and let's get started. So, basically, the quick rundown of those lineups here. The most expensive pitchers are Montgomery, Mike Minor, who's facing off against a powerful White Sox team that has about a 5+ total. Logan Allen, who don't know how stretched out he is. He ended up pitching, let's see how many pitches he threw in that first start. He threw 72. Probably can get up to 80-ish today. I'd probably go Trevor Williams before I go Logan Allen, though, just because Williams is a bit more of a veteran presence. This Pirates lineup is just so dreadful that we're gonna be targeting pitchers against Pittsburgh all season long. I think you can go cheap with your pitchers today, and I think the 2 that I like a lot, just based on the price tag, are Shoemaker and Ponce de Leon. 2 guys that get you favorable matchups here. Ponce de Leon, even though he's facing off against quite a bit of lefties, he's a guy that on his over his career, he's been very good against lefties in terms of striking them out. You can look at his stats here on Fangraphs. So it's only been a few years in the league for him. Career goes back to 2018. Overall, he's given up just a 255 slugging and just a 161 batting average to lefties in 228 batters faced. The strikeouts are over 30%. The xFIP is 4.65, so he's gotten a bit lucky, but his xFIP is lower than it is to righties. The strikeouts are 11.45 per 9 innings. The walks are high. But we're looking at this Milwaukee team. You see a lot of lefties in here, and a lot of lefties that do strike out a lot. So that's a good reason to target Ponce de Leon, especially since he got up to 93 pitches in that first start. So there's a chance he could even get to 100 pitches today, which is something I can't really say about any of these other guys that are that cheap. And then Shoemaker is just a veteran, gets a great spot against Seattle. The matchup is really nice here. He's a guy that also threw over 90 pitches in his first start, so I have confidence that he can maybe get you close to 100, if not at least 90, 95, which would be great. So going with those 2 pitchers, and then for stacks today, it's really looking at a few stacks that I like a lot. The Padres are probably my favorite against Michael Fultz. Probably said that wrong. Call him Fultz for short. Padres going up against Fultz. They have a 5.4 total. Even without Tatis, this lineup is super dangerous. They got Trent Grisham back a few games ago. He bats leadoff at only $4,100. Gives you a lot of upside with power. Profar, if he bats second, he's only $3,200. You have Machado. Hosmer's been so far really hot to start the year. And then you have Will Myers. So the 3, 4, 5 give you a ton of power. You even have speed at the bottom of the lineup with Tommy Pham. Padres are my favorite stack today. My second stack I'll look at is the Twins going up against Flexen. He was very good last year in the KBO, and he was good in his first start, but that was against the Giants. Now he's facing off against this Twins team that is a lot better of a lineup than the Giants offense. They give you so much power, especially with Buxton, who's having a resurgent career over the past couple years. He's really turned his career around after he looked like he couldn't stay healthy in his first couple years. He's been one of the best players, one of the best outfielders last year, and this year is proving to be the same. So love Buxton at only $4,400. You have Polanco as a cheap second base option. You have Cruz, who mashes home runs every other day, it seems like. Then the White Sox are always appealing just because whenever they're facing a lefty, because you get guys like Abreu, Robert, Mercedes been unbelievably hot to start the year. Even Vaughn as a cheap guy that gives you some power. And I don't think I really want to go to the Yankees today. I think you could look to the Indians against Jose Urena, especially with Fremel Reyes coming on strong as of late. That makes the stack look a lot better with Reyes, Rosario, and Ramirez as a 3-4-5. And that is the main guys. I think you could look to the Boston as well. Like a few one-offs. JD Martinez on the injured list now, so that definitely hurts any sort of stacking. And on DraftKings, they're super expensive, so they're behind a couple of teams for me. But looking at first base here, at the top end, I probably will pay up at this position. We have 45-50 left to fill out our bats. And if I go cheap at catcher, I'll pay up for basically every other spot in this lineup. For me, it's between Hosmer and Abreu. I like the Padres to score a little bit more runs than the White Sox today, so I'm going to lean to Hosmer. He's been really good so far this season, batting .350 plus. Couple of home runs. He hits for a high average, hits for power, hits right in the heart of the lineup, so he gets a lot of RBI opportunities, up to 8 already. And so far, he's been very, very consistent for the team. Hopefully that continues. So you definitely can go Hosmer. You can also go Abreu, even Goldie if you wanted to go with a lower-owned option. The Cardinals are probably a sneaky stack today against Anderson, who doesn't strike people out. And recently he's been giving up a lot of home runs. He gave up 3 on opening day. On opening day to the Cubs, he gave up a lot last year. So especially Goldie and Arenado, 2 guys that really hit left-handed pitching well. They would be my 2 favorite options to target from the Cardinals side. So probably we'll get to one of those 3 top-end first base options. If you wanted to go cheap, it would be for Miguel Sano, $3,900. And that's kind of it. I don't really see myself going cheap here. I'm going to pay up at this position. Second base, yeah, Whit Merrifield, $6,100. He seems like a great candidate to kind of get some leverage because I feel like nobody's going to play him, even though he's been amazing to start the year, batting almost 400 with 3 home runs. He also gives you a ton of speed. Hasn't stolen a base yet, which is surprising, but he's a guy that is a candidate to steal 25, 30-plus bags this year, as he typically does. So at that price tag, people might just shy away from him, and I think it's a spot where you could go to him. Cease is not that scary of a matchup at all. I don't really want to go to Araz at 49. It's pretty expensive. I would probably lean to going cheaper for a Polanco save, like $1,300. You can go Polanco at that favorable price tag. You have Marwin Gonzalez, $3,800 if he bats in the middle of the lineup. He's in play, and then you have Jonathan Scope as a value against a lefty in Logan Allen, and yeah, that's kind of it. Third base, another position where you probably want to spend up. You have Jose Ramirez, Machado, Devers, Arenado, all looking like great options at the top end. I'm going with the Padres stacks. I'm going to go with Machado. It's kind of stacking the Padres. You want to get to guys with a lot of power with Hosmer and Machado. I like Arenado. It's probably my second favorite third base option just because we know what he does against left-handed pitching, especially he's a guy that doesn't strike out much in general, and then going up against Anderson, who doesn't strike anybody out, it's going to be a spot where he should put the ball in play probably all 4 times or all 5 times he's at the plate. And we know all the power that he has against left-handed pitching. Could go Makata as a cheaper option at $4,600. And basically, if any of these guys start at the top of the order, they're always in play. We'll see when the lineups come out if anybody is in a favorable spot here. Shortstop, got a couple of guys that are on the injured list, so you're picking between Bogarts at 55. He is expensive, but this position doesn't have very many pay-ups. It's basically Bogarts, Baez as the main guys. Torres has been struggling to start, so don't think you need to go to him at $4,600. You have Paul DeJong as a potential play at $4,300, but the position as a whole is not super deep, and then at the bottom, you're basically just guessing between guys that don't hit for power, and they're basically just going to have to get on base a couple times. I think Ha-Seong Kim at $3K is probably somewhat in play, but I'll spend up just because we have the cap to do that. I'll go with Bogarts. Like the Red Sox against Lopez, he gives up home runs, he gives up power, and Bogarts going to have to carry the team a little bit until JD Martinez is back. In the outfield, Whit Merrifield is your most expensive outfielder today. he's in play because I don't think he will get too much ownership, and that's what I want on a baseball slate, especially a guy like Whit Merrifield who can break the slate not only with some of the power that he possesses, but also he can steal multiple bags. And if he happens to have a home run and a couple stolen bases, he's probably going to be in the optimal lineup. But I got to go with Buxton as my first guy here at only $4,400. He's been so good this year, batting .435, 4 home runs, steals bases as well. He has only 1 stolen base on the season. Flexing is not that scary of a spot. I mean, he's going to pitch to some contact. He was good against the Giants, but this Twins lineup is a completely different animal. They're at home. About a 5+ total for the Twins. You got to go with Buxton if you are going to be stacking the Twins a little bit here. And then to fill out the Padres stack, could go with a guy like Grisham if he's batting at the top of the order. $4,100. He's in play. Yeah, also Will Myers. If you can go cheap at catcher, you can go to Will Myers at 52. But that's it for the DK side. Padres favorite stack, Twins second, and then fill it out with some Red Sox, some White Sox, and all other types of Sox. So that's it for the DK side. Let's go over to FanDuel. FanDuel here, pitching options. You're picking between Montgomery. Definitely don't want to touch Cobb and Stroman. Those games are probably going to get postponed today. So basically pick between Montgomery, Williams, Shoemaker as your 3 most expensive guys. I'd probably lean to Shoemaker as my favorite, then Montgomery, then Williams. Then you have Pivetta as a potential cheap play. And you have Ponce de Leon down to $6,200. I'll just go with him. I mean, not too much of a difference, I think, going Ponce de Leon or going with Pivetta or going with Shoemaker. You're saving a little bit of money, which could be the difference between getting another home run or 2 into your lineup. So I'm going to go with him at $6,200. Catcher / first base, you have 3 guys that I really like, Abreu, Goldie, and Hosmer, all above $3,700. They're all in play for me. Spend down a little bit if you wanted to for like a German Mercedes at $3,200. You can also go with Grandal, who's like $3,600. FanDuel even going cheap. We have $3,600 left to fill out our bats. So basically go with all the expensive guys that you can get, all the guys with tons of pop and tons of upside, and Hosmer really fits that bill right now against the Rangers and against Foltzy. Second base, Whit Merrifield is $4,100. He is going to be in play for me just because I'm going to have a lot of cap to pay up for hitters, and second base is not a particularly deep position. You have a couple of value with Tommy Edman, who's cheap, and Luis Arraez at $2,900, also in play. And you also have Polanco at the position. If you wanted to go up, it would be for Whit Merrifield. Third base, I like, probably based on the price tag of Arenado, he's $4K. Machado is only $34, so Machado is my favorite, then Goldie, and then it would be Ramirez at $4,100. Picking between those 3. Don't need to go cheap at this position, but if I did, it would be for Rafael Devers sitting at just $2,900. But stacking up the Padres today, so it's going to be Hosmer and Machado to start. Shortstop position is not super deep as well. Lindor's game, I think it's going to get postponed. So you have Baez at $37, DeYoung at $32. I will lean to Bogarts as my favorite. It's just $3,100. He's cheap. I would rather play him than Simmons or Kiner Falefa, or can't play Bichette today. Torres has been struggling, so definitely like Bogarts. He gives you more pop than a lot of those guys in the similar price range. And then in the outfield, definitely have one Padre that sticks out, and that's Trent Grisham, who's only $2,500. I mean, he's got to be in your Padre stack if you are stacking them up. Way too cheap for a leadoff hitter. He's been hot to start, even though he's only played 2 games. He hit two hits in both of those games with 2 extra base hits, and he hit a home run in his most recent game last night. So love him at that only $2,500. He's got to be into your cash lineup at least. So that is it for the MLB slate today. Thank you guys for watching. Best of luck, and catch you all next time.